Tonight, it's a special look at the fall TV lineup of 1986 as the guys wax nostalgic about the shows that competed against MacGyver in prime time. Will Sam, Mike, and Jeff's inner children run amok in a playroom of sappy sitcoms and cornball dramas? Find out next on Making Fun of MacGyver. It's Making Fun of MacGyver, a rib-tickling takedown of our favorite 80s adventure show, The Golden Girls. No, it's MacGyver, starring Sam Jordan as the skeptic, Mike Garland as the diehard, and Jeff Hess as the scientist.
Name's MacGyver.
Welcome, everybody, to Making Fun of MacGyver, the show where we recap, review, and ridicule every episode of the original series. We love MacGyver, but we love laughing at it, too. I'm Sam Jordan. I'm your host. And as usual, I'm joined by my two fellow MacGyverites, the growing pain, Mike Garland.
I got nothing.
You don't know how to take that,
Well,
do you?
because I know that the pain-in-the-ass kid in that show was named Mike.
Oh, okay. And the head of the class, Jeff Hess.
I mean, that's the rank you get when you're the scientist of the group. It only makes sense.
All right, my fellow nostalgia nuts, are you ready to see the slate of sitcoms and dramas that MacGyver Season 2 was up against some 35 years ago?
Yeah, all but like two of these chumps didn't stand a chance.
All right, well, good, because we're moments away from Making Fun of MacGyver. It's our 37th episode, and we're taking a break, as we do sometimes from the normal MacGyver show recaps, this time to go shallowly in-depth on the primetime fall 1986 TV schedule, the network TV schedule. This is very exciting. Lots of nostalgia coming your way. We're going to talk about all the old shows, but first, though, it's our opening gambit. Some big news, guys. There is almost official word that a MacGyver Blu-ray box set is coming.
The full series?
The whole series on Blu-ray. It's never been done. There's only one season. It's the first, and we sent it to Gary in British Columbia. He won our contest last year. Was that last year or was that this year?
Last season. Let's go with last season.
Last season on MFOM. But, so, you know how I discovered this? Is our buddy, well, soon-to-be buddy, Michael DeBar. On his Twitter, he wrote recently, very happy to share my memories on my journey as Murdoch in the internationally embraced original MacGyver series, box set coming soon, information to follow in the near future. So that's how we found out.
No one sells harder than Michael DeBar. That dude's a professional. But second of all, one of our Patreon subscribers mentioned that she bought the full series on DVD, and it broke down to $1 per episode. So what's the price point on the Blu-ray? Above or below $1 per episode?
When it first hits, I'm thinking it'll debut at $79.99.
Oh, and that's going to be way below $1 per episode.
Right.
Because there's 144 episodes or something?
Right, yeah. So I bought the DVDs about 2 years ago. Yeah. And that was like $50-$60. But I'm a high-def snob. But I'm telling you, on Paramount Plus, thank you, Mike, for the hookup. You get it in high def, and you can. And Jeff, you that's how you watch the episodes too, right? Yeah. So that's.
Oh yeah.
Once they flipped that switch last year, and we talked about it, and we told you fellow listeners about it. All of a sudden, Trumbo's World. Yep, there it is. Looks great. It looks bad, but it looks great. You know. So, but if you don't want to pay $5, $6, probably at some point $12 a month for Paramount Plus, and you just want to own MacGyver and these special features. So maybe they'll be 2, 3, 5 hours of special feature. Hey, maybe they'll talk to us. I doubt it. But this is exciting, and I hate this, the phrase double dip as a collector as I am. You buy the DVD or something, and then then you buy the Blu-ray. I haven't gotten into the 4K thing yet, but I'm excited about MacGyver coming to Blu-ray if this is true.
So it's cool to see Michael DeBar shilling like he does. You get an interview with Michael DeBar. Presumably they're going to reach out to Bruce McGill so you can get a little Jack Dalton feedback. Obviously, Dana Elcar has passed away, but if they release this MacGyver Blu-ray box set and there is no commentary or feedback or bonus features with Richard Dean Anderson, do you buy it?
That's a good point, because everything we've gathered from his persona over the last 10 years or so, but it lasts a couple of years as we're following, is that bit of a recluse. But we did watch that convention appearance he had, that panel a couple of years ago. It might have been 4 years ago now, but Mia sent it our way. He seemed happy to be there. He was enjoying the questions. So that was a convention in Utah, but we just don't see. I think he would do it. He would have to do it. But maybe he wants some money, or maybe he wants something. I don't know. But yeah, I probably still would buy it. But the fact that Michael DeBar is the one first mentioning this and not somebody else is a little bit of a I wonder if they did get RDA or will.
I think if he's not going to do commentary on the Blu-ray re-release of his show, that he's probably not coming on our show.
I mean, that's depressing, but the white whale. He's our white whale. He's a white male too. Let's pivot now. But anyway, we'll keep you updated. Next time, anytime we hear something on MacGyver on Blu-ray, we will let you know. But I mentioned a convention there. We've got our own convention to talk about, guys, because there is something called MacGyver Con, and it's happening, and it's coming up in just, when you hear this, it'll be coming up in just a few days or so.
Yeah, I mean, reference who's on this thing. I mean, okay, we're buried at the bottom, but there's some legit people on here.
Okay, so the Save MacGyver people, our friends who care pretty much only about the recent Lucas Till reboot and how it was canceled, that's pretty much all they care about, but they've organized MacGyver Con. It is a 2-day virtual event celebrating our favorite show, featuring raffles, contests, and swag bags. Now, again, they're talking about the newish MacGyver that was recently canceled by CBS. However, the guest panels will include Tristan Mays. She's, what's her name on the show? The very attractive one. I don't know. See, that's the thing. We don't really watch the new show. But she's MacGyver's best bud, and I guess there was a blossoming love interest. Desi? No, not Desi. Is it Desi, Mike?
No. I'm such a horrible human being right now. I'm trying to look. Casting characters. Tristan Mays is Riley Davis. She's the computer tech nerd. Yes.
Riley. Okay. Henry Ian Cusick. Lee David Zlotoff. We know the name because he's the creator, the mastermind of MacGyver. Monica Macer, I think she might be a showrunner, and MacGyver Season 5 writers, Sarah Downer, Rhett Allen. Okay, so these are all legitimate people in Hollywood who have put together, either created a show or acted on a network television show or wrote it. And then at the bottom of the flyer, the Making Fun of MacGyver, the podcast. Yes.
Now look at it this way. In professional wrestling, usually the name at the bottom of the card is the main event. I, however, feel like we are more like the curtain jerkers, and we're the ones that are going to get this thing going.
Hell no, dude. We're supporting the rest of that. We are supporting the rest of the thing above us. We are the foundation of MacGyver Con. It's obvious.
Maybe we're the thing that comes on when it's time for intermission.
Well, if you guys ever go to music festivals or you see when those flyers, the music festivals hit, you'll have the first couple of bands, huge font. Then it goes to a medium font. And then by the time it gets to the bottom, it's about a 6 font. And I'm trying to look. I don't think they shrunk us in the font, but we're definitely below everyone else, as we should be. So we've got no problem with that. We are honored to be invited. And again, this is not going to be live. So they're doing this for charity. These guys are doing a great job raising money for charity with the whole Save MacGyver thing. They're trying to get their show back on the air, some more seasons, but they're also raising money this whole time. So Lee David Zlotoff has got behind the whole Save MacGyver movement. He's taken a picture wearing this shirt, and he's going to do this for charity. So there might be a few bucks to watch those guys do their panel. Of course, we're doing it for free. So we're doing it for free, and we're going to record something, and it's going to run during this 2-day MacGyver Con, August 28th and 29th. Sorry if I didn't say the dates yet, but it's the 28th and 29th 2-day virtual event celebrating our favorite show, their favorite show, and we will celebrate our favorite show, which is the old MacGyver. So we're going to figure out what we're going to do. We're going to entertain, but I will definitely invite you guys to go check out MacGyver Con. And that address is MacGyverCon.com for more information. So check out MacGyverCon.com And we'll look for you on the 28th and the 29th.
We've already gotten some questions from interested fans that may be followers of our program or have at least heard about us through the hashtag Save MacGyver folks. So, Sam, we have some kind of email address, right? Like if people want to submit questions for us as part of this MacGyverCon, how can they do that?
Send us an email to makingfunofmacgyver@gmail.com. We will get back to you, and send us anything. If you want to send us a voice clip, only a couple of people, mainly Archibald from Pittsburgh, have taken us up on sending us the voice clip. Jen did from Save MacGyver. But if you want to send us like a 30-second, 60-second clip about the episode you just watched or what you think of our show, anything, please send that to us. But also in this situation, if you've got some questions that you'd like us to throw to Lee David's Loadoff, please send us those as well at makingfunofmacgyver@gmail.com. So we are excited about that, and we will see you guys on August 28th and 29th. But right now, we're going to see you on the other side of this viewer mail bed. Yes. I mean, it's getting there. It's getting there.
Too short. It's too short.
It's a perfect 10.
Okay, let's start with, we got a bunch of new fans on Facebook, and we're really happy. It's Making Fun of MacGyver at facebook.com. And not only do we post show clips and promos, but we do funny things too. So like, we're going to bring the funny to you. That's what we do on the show. We love MacGyver, but we springboard off of the 80s cheese into comedy. So please say hi to us on Facebook, also Twitter, Fun of Mac, or just type in Making Fun of MacGyver. And we've got a YouTube page as well, and we post lots of video chuckles there as well. But let's talk about some of our new fans on Facebook, because we really appreciate hearing from them. Stacy in Pittsburgh. Check out this Olympics-like, opening ceremonies. Dizane in Istanbul. Sueli in Paranagua, Brazil. Ivan in Newdow, Austria. Hello, Ivan. And thank you for introducing me to a new city in Austria. I had not heard of it, Newdow. Fabian in Egg, Switzerland. EGG, Switzerland. Fabian, welcome to the show. I mean, that's just awesome. Paul in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Ian in Puerto Rico. Ginger in San Diego, and Martin in Eaton Rapids, Michigan. All in the last few weeks, new Facebook friends. Mike, I see you shaking your head over there. Talk me through that.
I'm kind of speechless. We launched this thing over a year ago on pretty much the front end of the pandemic lockdown, and I'm not sure that we ever thought we'd get this far, and now here we are, still being silly and still talking about MacGyver, and we're bringing some new friends along for the ride, and it's cool to say, even if it's one person at a time, we are part of an internationally listened to podcast. And that's really cool. Like, I don't know, it makes me smile. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Gracias. Danke.
Yeah. I mean, it goes double for me. It really does. It's in the first few months of the show when we would see someone from another country follow the page. Jeff, you want to say the main offender of that?
We don't talk about Soon Parts.
When Soon Parts, the Chinese auto parts manufacturer, followed us within the first few weeks of our show, it didn't pass the smell test, I got to admit. But now, after seeing Mia from Australia, Gary in British Columbia, I'm believing that Fabian in Egg, Switzerland is real, that Yvonne in Newdow, Austria is real, and this blows my mind. And you don't know how happy we are to see this. We love seeing, different nationalities and countries come in. So if you understand English and enjoy what we're doing, we are so thankful that you're here. And send us a message anytime. If you even want to send it in your native language, which we will likely not understand, we will find a way to translate that and we will play it. So please take us up on reaching out and engaging with us.
Well, I think the English speaking is optional because it's been firmly established in the show that that Mac's superpower is instantly teaching people English.
Ooh,
so
good point.
Yeah, I think that being able to speak English is kind of secondary to paying us money on Patreon.
Well, we know the name of the show, but let's give some credit to MacGyver because I don't think any of us thought MacGyver had the global reach that it does. And that is surely, let's go with 90% of why we're getting some appreciation from people in other countries because this show has lasted internationally. I don't think we've got international worthy talent, but the fact that we're talking about MacGyver is getting people's attention, like Ian in Puerto Rico, who wrote to us on our Facebook page, and it was choppy English. It was a little tough for me to understand, but I, worked through it and engaged with him back and forth. And the basic gist of his message was he's frustrated by the lack of Spanish subtitles on the DVDs and Blu-rays. I think it's more so with the newer MacGyver episodes. He likes both. He likes the old and new. And he was talking about other TV shows, but we went back and forth. He was friendly and he was frustrated, though. He wants to, see the subtitles. So, sometimes we forget about America's reach across the globe with our entertainment. Hollywood is like the biggest, best export America has pretty much ever had for the last 100 years. And that counts for television as well. So we love hearing from you. Even though we fought through the English-Spanish thing with Ian, but Ian, welcome to the fans, the show, and everybody else, welcome. It's exciting that you're here. So it is great that we can communicate with these people on the internet, but I think I think there's untapped potential in how much we can communicate with our fans. Because if you don't want to, I want to hear their voices and vice versa maybe, but I don't think they have the nerve yet to do a voice message or something like that. So I've got an idea, guys. Hear me out on this. We should give our fans a new way to reach us besides just social media. In honor of this 1986 themed episode, I've come up with a great retro themed idea. It's a making fun of MacGyver party chat line. Do you guys remember the chat line commercials from the late 80s and early 90s?
Yes.
Did you ever call any of them?
No, but I was just watching a YouTube video and they were talking about a deleted scene from a movie. I think Tim Allen was in it, and they used a throwaway, call this 1-800 number, and it was an actual 1-800 number, so they had to excise that when they took it to streaming.
So I was a big fan, and I guess I still am, of the first Bill and Ted movie. And I don't know if this constitutes a party chat line, but it was a 900 number. I still remember it. It was 1-900-909-DUDE. And I definitely called it. Oh, God, I wonder what that number goes to now. I definitely called it back when the original Bill and Ted came out, and my grandparents were none too pleased about the phone bill that followed.
I remember Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince had one, but there was a lot of ones that had semi-sexual undertones, especially for the horny, teenage boys. And when I was 17, 18, I think it was at my friend's house, we did call one. And you're supposed to, it's a chat room. Before a chat room, it was just on the phone. And we get on there and I just hear something hey, any girls out there? And we're just click, hang up, and that was it. We were gone. And that was my one time with a party chat line. But I think times have changed, and I think it's time for a retro idea. Let's bring it back. So I've written 3 commercials for us tonight. We're gonna, just like we did last year with the capers and capers and the lentils. 3 commercials. Each one we can record on our own, and we'll just sprinkle them in throughout the show tonight. Hope that sounds good. I've got the music beds. I just need you guys to read your scripts. Don't worry about what I wrote in the scripts. Just read it. But I'll go first, and we can sprinkle in the other 2 throughout the episode. So here we go. Let me do mine if you don't mind right now. Hey guys, are you lonely? Are you looking for a new friend? Or maybe just someone to talk MacGyver with? Then why don't you give me a call tonight? Hi, I'm Sam Jordan, 1/3 of the Making Fun of MacGyver podcast, and you can call me right now on our new party chat line at 1-900-TALK-MAC. We can chat about your favorite MacGyver episodes, all those handy tools in his Swiss Army knife, or even how many bad guys he's captured over the years. So come on, give me a call right now at 1-900-TALK-MAC. That's 1-900-TALK-MAC. I think we're going to get along just fine. So MacGyver is now on Monday nights at 8 o'clock for the fall of 86. It is leading into Monday Night Football. In fact, we've got a pretty cool promo here that combines the two, aimed at all those beer-drinking men who want a little action and then a little more action.
Monday, the playoff-bound New York Jets, the explosive Miami Dolphins, Monday Night Football. Then, it began as a woman's nightmare. It became MacGyver's reality.
I'm here.
He's there when you need him. He's MacGyver.
Tomorrow.
Dan Marino and MacGyver. What else do you need, guys?
You know
Mullet
where that
power.
was total bullshit is when it said the explosive Miami Dolphins.
Definitely get more explosions in a MacGyver episode.
How many yards did Marino throw for in '86? Pretty sure you could call the Dolphins offense under
That's
Marino
true.
explosive.
That's true. What was the year they went to the Super Bowl? Was that the year they, maybe 85, 84, they went to the
It
Super
was
Bowl?
83.
Oh, 86, of course, was the Bears, but that was January. No, 86 regular season was Bears, and then Bears in 87 win the Super Bowl? Probably, right? They didn't, yeah.
So the Dolphins went 8-8
Okay.
in 1986.
Okay.
A lot of that for the Dolphins, 8-8.
And MacGyver goes usually, 4 for 5 on MacGyverism. So, all right, so that's your Monday night on ABC. Not bad. Not bad. CBS now, CBS is countering at 8 o'clock with Kate and Allie. And I got to tell you, you were wondering why I wasn't watching MacGyver in my teenage days, because I was a teen. Mike was almost a tween. Jeff was mostly a tot. Tween, teen, tot. But I'm watching Kate and Allie. I don't know if that's me getting in touch with my feminine side, but I was not watching MacGyver back then. I stumbled onto it a few years ago. Kate and Allie was good. It had Jane Curtin from SNL, and I forget the other actress's name. But then it was followed up by My Sister Sam at 8:30. And then one of my all-time favorite shows at 9 o'clock that year. I still love the show. I've got many seasons on CBD. One of the greatest comedians of all time. It's Newhart. Love me some Newhart. Now, this theme song is not going to blow anybody away, and they don't even show any of the cast members. But, God, I love Bob Newhart. I love his deadpan delivery and his facial expressions, and Larry, Daryl, and Daryl. Mike, what'd you think of CBS? They're Kate and Allie, My Sister Sam, and Newhart. They're going against Mac and Monday Night Football.
I mean, Newhart for me, my cousin was an old soul, so I remember listening to a lot of Bob Newhart comedy records, so that rubbed off on me when I was 8 years old or so watching TV. I remember Newhart. I also watched Kate and Allie because I remember the girl, the daughter that was on the show. I thought she was kind of cute, so
Yes.
that was my draw to Kate and Allie. And but Newhart and Tom Poston and Bob Newhart and everyone on that show, I mean, it was so comical. And then the guys that played was it Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, one of the guys,
William Sanderson?
I believe the Larry.
Yeah, his name is William. William Sanderson is his name. Julia Duffy played Stephanie. Peter Scolari was great as Michael. Peter Scolari and Tom Hanks were on Bosom Buddies for 2 seasons. Peter Scolari is great. The cast was impeccable. Mary Fran played Joanna. She died too soon. Rest in peace. But yeah, Jeff will just have to chime in occasionally because he's 3 or 4 years old. He's not watching this.
Well, and I was going to say, so where I was going with all that, hold on, Jeff, where I was going to go with all that is that William Sanderson guy actually lives in a town 15 minutes from me. He lives in Harrisburg, the capital of Pennsylvania. He lives in this area.
Brush with greatness.
Whether or not I was old enough to watch it, I did, in preparation for this, watch all or some of an episode of every single show we're going to talk about. So, Newhart, I really enjoyed the episode. It was one where Bob Newhart wrote a mystery novel, and all of the people in his little town he included under like pseudonyms, and they all knew. It was very funny. This show stood out for me because clearly it's like the comedic expertise is so much higher than many of these other shows, and no laugh track, which was such a relief after listening to all these shows with these just horrible laugh tracks. But the writing was so tight, the jokes were better, they build on each other throughout the episode, and the only show, other than another one we're going to unfortunately talk about, where the actor was big enough to have his name be the title of the show. And then other than that, Bob Newhart's still alive, 91.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's a legend. One of the all-time greats.
Great show. It was good. I very much enjoyed what I watched.
We're talking about Newhart 1986, but Sam, I suspect you would know this again, maybe more than Jeff. But when Newhart ended, the series finale essentially was that the payoff joke to all of it was that he pops up in bed and he was somehow stuck in a dream from the original Bob Newhart show. So it's like the entire Newhart run with him being this innkeeper was a dream based on his earlier TV show.
Now, what you may or you may not know this about me. I don't know if we've talked about this, but all through my teenage years, I watched enormous amounts of TV Land. So all those 1940s, 50s black and white comedies, I watched tons of that stuff. So I have seen a lot of the original Newhart show. I probably saw some of the, I guess you would call it a reboot, but so Bob Newhart comedy definitely like resonates for me. And this is an episode of television I enjoyed very much.
Ooh, I could see you couldn't make fun of Newhart because it makes fun. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nuking Newhart.
But I cannot say I love the Newhart. I love Bob Newhart show was very good in the 70s, but Newhart to me was even sweeter. And yes, it's considered by many to be the greatest series finale of all time just because it was so meta, pranked itself, and he wakes up in bed, next to his wife from his first show, which had ended, 12, 13 years earlier. So, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Well, so I love my kids. I mean, everybody loves their kids, but kids do some dumb shit sometimes. I actually have a Bob Newhart script that I found at one of our automotive flea markets at my day job. And I bought it, and it's autographed by Bob Newhart. So cool in and of itself until one of my children, Abby, used it as a coloring page. So somewhere I have this script autographed by a legend that also has crayon scribbles on it.
Okay. Well, send her to her room without supper, and that ought to take care of that. But yeah, the respect for Newhart is lasting. I know he had several cameos on Big Bang Theory, and he's still occasionally sitting down doing comedy. So just a national treasure. Not a national treasure. The opposite of Bob Newhart was at 8 o'clock on NBC on those Monday nights, and a little hairier too. It's Alf. Now, Mike, you love yourself some Alf. To me, it was beneath me because I'm 13, 14, 15, but you're 7, 8, 9 and loving this, aren't you?
I loved Alf. I never really was an NBC sitcom person. I did watch Alf when I was a kid. Then later I would watch Blossom and even Saved by the Bell, which was on NBC. But I definitely remember. And then again, that girl there, the girls. Apparently the girls on the show I thought were hot when I was younger. But I loved Alf. Real name Gordon Shumway. And I have to admit that at one point in the mid-2000s, when we all worked together in radio in Florida, I filled in on an 80s radio station, and my air name on this radio station was Gordon Shumway.
So Alf, and then it was followed by Amazing Stories, which I think we referenced in 85. It might have been on Sunday nights then, an American anthology series created by Steven Spielberg. And then NBC Monday Night at the Movies was your 9 o'clock, trying to compete with Monday Night Football, but Monday Night Football winning that time slot there for sure.
So I definitely watched a lot of Alf when I was growing up, and I rewatched the pilot for this, at which I learned that Alf actually stands for, according to the show, alien life form. That is not something I knew. What I was also educated by rewatching the pilot, not funny. Not a funny television show.
No. I think occasionally he had some good lines that were above the norm for sitcoms. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of aimed a little bit at kids too, with the occasional adult joke thrown in there, I guess.
There's just only so far you can push the fish out of water, encountering new things element of things. And, he's short and hairy and eats cats.
Well, the family's name was the Tanners. Willie was the adult male that lived in the house, so it was like Alf and Willie always battling back and forth. So as our Making Fun of MacGyver fans may note, Sam, you've said ABC, CBS, NBC, and that's where the conversation will end. There was no Fox at this point.
Not yet. Married with Children debuts in, I think I saw March or April of 87. So this is back in a simpler time. You had 3 networks to choose from and PBS and maybe a local cable, but that was just, wow, 3 networks and that was it. No streaming, barely, I guess you got VHS, right? But, Blockbuster, video rental stores kind of becoming a thing here by 86, but more still your local VHS kind of shop. But
Alf does not have the best theme song, but I think it has the best visual opening with him running around with that camera around the house. I thought that was pretty fun and clever.
Right. All right, let's go to Tuesday now. So Tuesday, 8 o'clock on ABC in the fall of ABC is Who's the Boss? And I would watch me some Who's the Boss. Tony Danza, Judith Light, Alyssa Milano was a heartthrob for many a youngster, right? We're all shaking our heads there. And it was the classic, like, will they or won't they show. It ran for many seasons. And Tony Danza was the housekeeper. And he was the housekeeper. And the two, him and Angela, were always like, Angela. Yeah, anyway, I don't need to do that. But, and I think at some point in the final season or two, they did get together. And that's like the fate of, the kiss of death. Because once they come together, the mystery is gone. But it wasn't exactly cerebral programming.
You had, Alyssa Milano was the tomboy, and the pilot episode of this particular show, I don't know if Jeff chose to watch that one or not, but the pilot episode of this was Tony, as a single parent, trying to take Samantha, out of New York City because she got in a fight and she's got a shiner, and he responds to this ad where this Connecticut marketing and advertising executive is looking for a housekeeper, and his exact line was, "Hey, that's me, Mr. Goodmop." And you get that sexual tension tease, and of course, Katherine Hellman, Mona, from famously from Soap in the '70s. She was the vixen, she was the hot to trot, while Angela was almost the prude. I got to be a mom. I've got this little son, Jonathan, Danny Pintaro. So they, you had all that back and forth. And Who's the Boss actually spawned a spin-off as later in its series run. What's the name of the girl that was on King of Queens?
Leah
Remini. Leah Remini ended up with a bit on Who's the Boss, and it spun off to her own show, which got canceled.
I did watch the pilot for this, and I don't know if it's because I know what happens with this show or if it's true about it, but Tony Danza's charisma is off the charts. Like, he appears on camera, and the camera just absolutely loves him, and he does show up.
Hey, yo, oh, way.
He shows up on camera, and the camera just absolutely loves him. And he does show up a little time later in just a bath towel, shirtless. And he is really fit. Like, got abs. Like, he's in great shape. So, another one that I watched a lot of. It turned out to be a great show, had a good run. So, I like this one. This is a good one.
Oh, okay.
And he was very bankable then, too, coming off of Taxi. He had that strong run on Taxi with Judd Hirsch and Christopher Lloyd and Andy Kaufman. So, he was definitely a primetime player for casting in this role.
He was a semi-pro boxer, I believe. That's part of why he was so fit and still like singing and dancing and doing all that stuff over the last 20 years. So that's Who's the Boss. Then at 8:30, you go to Growing Pains. Here's that theme.
Show me that smile again. Show me that smile. Don't waste another minute on your crying. We're nowhere near. We're nowhere near. The best is ready to begin. As long as we got.
I don't know. To me, I'll take Who's the Boss over Growing Pains, but a very popular show. Mike, your thoughts?
I love Growing Pains. B.J. Thomas singing the theme here. The late Alan Thicke as Jason Seaver. Joanna Kearns as Maggie. And then you had Tracy Gold and Kirk Cameron. And what's Ben's name? I forget all of a sudden because everybody went on to do something. But I loved this show. And it, just like every other show of its time, kind of jumped the shark. Later on they introduced another sibling that wasn't necessary, but when all the little kids have grown up, you got to do something. Leonardo DiCaprio was on this freaking show. So he was on the show. Matthew Perry was on the show as a guest bit, but they had one of those very special episodes where Carol was dating Matthew Perry's character. And he got in an accident. He had been drinking and driving. So that was reached the young audience on the pitfalls of drinking and driving. It also had a spin-off. Just the 10 of Us came off of Growing Pains. So, a lot of these shows gave you something a little bit more. I loved Growing Pains.
So I assume I watched a ton of this, but I don't recall any single episode. But Mike's absolutely right. The cast of this show is just completely legendary. But it falls into this group, and there are several we're going to talk about, where these wholesome family comedies, and they're completely inoffensive and totally bland and forgettable. So I don't know if you mentioned Married with Children. I know if we're going to talk about it, that more presages what is going to come with 90s television and comedy, where everybody's just banging on each other. but these wholesome comedy shows just don't do it for me. Growing Pains, classic of the genre, 80s juggernaut, incredible cast, and just like a saltine cracker of television entertainment.
Sam, the New York Mets fan in you should have picked up on this, or at least appreciated. You had the Seavers, and their family friends were the Kuzmans. So you had had families named after Tom Seaver and Jerry Kuzman.
Yeah, two of the Mets.
Tom Seaver from Fresno.
Is he from Fresno?
Yep, he pitched high school baseball at Fresno High, which is about half a mile down the street from me, and you can drive down Tom Seaver Lane, and I'm sure he's never come back.
Mets wearing 41 on their uniforms this season. He died within the year, I believe. 9 o'clock, Moonlighting. So there's your ABC. That's a pretty strong
That's
1, 2,
solid.
3. Moonlighting, comedy drama. And, of course, this is where Bruce Willis became a star, and starring Sybil Shepherd, and they were private detectives. And they also had the smoldering romance or the flirting, you don't know what's going on, and solving crimes and comedy drama, and that was a big ratings juggernaut too. So Who's the Boss, Growing Pains, and Moonlighting, very strong for ABC on Tuesdays in the fall of '86. CBS had something called The Wizard, action-adventure series. I got nothing on that, so let's keep it moving. There's going to be a lot of that coming up. NBC, then the Tuesday night movie at 9 o'clock for CBS. NBC at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays, Matlock, with Andy Griffith, his second career here after the Andy Griffith Show, mystery legal drama. And as much as I love Murder, She Wrote, I couldn't have cared less about Matlock. I know it's famous. Older people liked it, but he's a defense attorney, Ben Matlock. I don't think I've ever seen more than 5 minutes of it.
I know we're going to talk about Murder, She Wrote, but I think what sets Murder, She Wrote apart from Matlock is a courtroom drama, and Murder, She Wrote's really straight up more of like a weekly Agatha Christie novel. So I'm with
Exactly.
you. I'm a huge Murder, She Wrote fan. And so if we ever do a second show, I'd like to do Murder, She Wrote. Pass on Matlock, definitely double down on Murder, She Wrote.
And then at 9 o'clock, something called Crime Story, a crime drama series ran for 2 seasons. And I'm looking at the guys right there, and the one guy with the mustache looks familiar, but I don't know who that is. And let's see, in the fall of it, is that it? Crime Story? Yeah, that was what was running in the fall. So let's go now to Wednesday.
Perfect Strangers. Love that show.
Perfect Strangers. I always think of it as a TGIF thing, but I guess it started off on Wednesdays at 8. Didn't it go to Fridays at some point?
It did. It definitely was part of TGIF. Another show that gave you a spin-off. Jeff, do you know, or you maybe remember what I messaged, but do you remember the spin-off for Perfect Strangers?
I do not.
That show with Urkel, Family Matters.
Well, I got in my notes here that this Perfect Strangers is one of my favorite 80s TV shows of all time. And I watched an episode from somewhere in the middle of their run, like second or third season, and the timing between these two comedic actors is just superb. So it's another laugh track show. I mean, most of them are laugh track shows, but they are so tight with their comedic timing. That really makes the show work.
There was a lot of physical comedy, and you're right, they did work very well together, and then Bronson Pinchot took that Balky character and basically reprised it in what was Beverly Hills Cop 2, Sam?
Yeah, was it 2? Yeah. I don't know if he reprised it there. Wasn't he playing more of an effeminate kind of clerk there?
Serge?
Yeah.
Serge was his name?
Right, so that was a little different than...
I'm guessing the Eddie Murphy-driven 1986 comedy with an effeminate co-star is not aging well.
Yeah, it was a bit part.
Ugh.
It was like 5 minutes on screen, but Bronson Pinchot's killed it with that the Balky character. 8:30, you go from Perfect Strangers to Head of the Class. I did enjoy me some Head of the Class. Howard Hessman, right, as the teacher.
No relation.
A couple of attractive, girls in the class. Hessman.
Well, you had Howard Hessman coming off of WKRP,
Right.
and in this show, Robin Quivers, former future ex-wife of Mike Tyson.
Right. And then at 9 o'clock, Dynasty, which started in 81, ran to 1989, primetime soap opera, and those were few and far between, obviously in the recent decades, but this is one of the last one of those. But Dynasty was a big show. My mother would love, there's some Dynasty, Joan Collins, John Forsythe, Linda Evans, and it was produced by Aaron Spelling, who just had the golden touch for about 15, 20 years on television.
So finally, we've hit one where I was confident I've never seen any of this. So I've never seen any of Head of the Class. Surprised at how many classroom-related TV shows there are. So I watched episode 18 of season 2, and it's about how all the class gets like fake married together. And what really jumped out at me, other than the fat guy of the show being really woke, is that all these kids are extremely mean to each other. All of the comedy is insult-driven, just between like the kids just brutally dunking on each other, which your mileage may vary. But this also featured talk about a Star Trek convention where Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura in the original show, was referenced, and then she shows up at the end of the episode as a guest appearance, which I found delightful because I'm going to pull a Mike. I've met her once at a convention, and my wife got her picture taken with her.
Very cool.
Okay. That's cool. I'm glad you're finding spots to drop in, Jeff, because I was nervous that you were so young in '86 that you might not know these shows, but great job researching. So I think the fact that you are now familiar with these shows, I can use this sounder now. So tell me, Jeff, does Head of the Class...
Does it be Arthur?
Ooh, is she in the show? Is that the question? Is B. Arthur
I guess,
in Head
yeah.
of the Class?
No.
I'm going to go with no. But you have to keep in mind, like,
Okay.
I would have caught a lot of this stuff in the early 90s on the rebound. So, like, rerun television, a lot, like Growing Pains and not Family Matters, some of these other shows. Perfect Strangers was just a constant syndicated rerun show.
Something I'll say about Head of the Class, I believe they were, breaking new barriers with regards to Russian relations. They did an episode that was filmed in Russia, and I think that was the first time an American sitcom was filmed, taped, whatever, in Russia, where the IHP class had to go to Russia, and then you get a couple of love storylines with Arvid and Dennis and all of that. Jeff, if I told you that the nerd's name was Arvid, would you believe me?
I think I know that because they were referencing it in the show. But I mean, I would say they were making fun of the nerd, but they were making fun of everybody. Like, no one was spared in that show.
Here's another person that was in it. Tony O'Dell plays Alan, the very politically smart kid. He was in Karate Kid as one of the Cobra Kai guys. He came back in the Cobra Kai reboot. So, some Hollywood careers launching out of many of these shows we're talking about.
Right. So it goes Nixon to China, Trump to North Korea, Head of the Class to Russia. That's the 3 big important American history foreign policy moments. Yeah, okay.
Pretty much. Yeah. Right. The order, you might have the order mixed up, but yes, those are the 3 big ones. So Perfect Strangers, Head of the Class, Dynasty. I'm trying to think, how many people are watching Perfect Strangers and Head of Class and then sticking around for Dynasty? That's an audience switch right there. But on CBS, you got 2 shows that no one remembers. Something called Together We Stand. It's a sitcom. And then something called Better Days, which ran from October 1st to October 29th, 1986.
4 episodes.
That's a show that's seen better days.
It's just, I see the picture. It's 3 guys, looks like they're playing basketball in sweats. 1 white guy, 2 black guys. I have no idea what that is. But if we want to get a podcast about that, I'm pretty sure we'll have the market to ourselves. On NBC in the fall, you got Highway to Heaven.
Yeah.
American fantasy drama TV series, ran for 5 years, starred Michael Landon as Jonathan Smith, an angel sent to Earth in order to help people in need. I didn't give this any time. Very schmaltzy, but it had its audience. It had its popularity.
This would have been pre-Little House, Michael
No, it's
Landon.
after. It's after Little House on the Prairie. So yeah. Then at 8:30, I'm sorry, 9 o'clock, Highway to Heaven was an hour. 9 o'clock, you got Give Me a Break, sitcom with Nell Carter, who came from Broadway. Oh, Joey Lawrence.
So is this like a black maid loosens up, uptight,
Yes.
rich guy
Yep.
format?
Well, working
Yeah.
class, white family. The guy's a police officer, and he needs help. And she comes in and wins over the kids. And Joey Lawrence, who is the cute little kid with the bowl haircut, goes on to be popular, and then was in Blossom and had his had a short-lived singing career. But so yeah, give me a break. Whoa. And then something called You Again, a sitcom, was on for 2 seasons. I don't remember, based on the British show Home to, maybe what that says, Home to Roost. I don't know. But anyway, not following up what airs at 10, I guess, on some of these networks, but St. Elsewhere came on, and that had some gravitas that lasted for 6 years. And I now need to reference one of my favorite podcasts, which is a show called Best Episode Ever. And I've been listening to it for years. And it's 3 or 2 guys talking about old sitcoms. And when they covered St. Elsewhere a few years ago, they had one of the funniest bits that they stumbled onto, because remember how we were talking about how Newhart ends, where he wakes up and it was all a dream from his first sitcom? St. Elsewhere ends with a slow zoom out, and it's an autistic boy looking at the hospital that all the episodes of St. Elsewhere took place in, inside a snow globe. So the premise being that what this 6-year series that you just watched, this hospital drama, Howie Mandel got his start there, Ed Begley Jr., pulls out, it's a autistic boy looking at this hospital in a snow globe. So everything you just watched was that. Now, that's okay. However you want to feel about that, that's fine. But there were a couple of crossover episodes with St. Elsewhere where characters from other shows appeared on St. Elsewhere. So what these guys realized is that, and I want to say somehow, believe it or not, but I want to say someone from Cheers, because it was an NBC property, showed up on St. Elsewhere as the Cheers character. So what that means was Cheers 2 was also just a figment of this boy's imagination looking through the snow globe. And then any other character that crossed over and came on to Cheers from any other NBC sitcom, all was just a part of, this boy's imagination in the snow globe. And I found that fascinating and funny.
I can smell the toast from my own brain thinking about that.
But I always appreciate TV shows and writers that don't insult the audience, like that they let you know that thing A also happens in the same universe as thing B. So to bring those crossover characters over, or more recently, I watch a show called SWAT on CBS, and it was written by a guy that also wrote The Shield, the hard-nosed cop drama on FX. So there was a cop that made an appearance, Detective Wagenbach. Well, Wagenbach was Wagenbach from The Shield, so they just kind of furthered that this guy exists in the same universe. So I appreciate that. Don't insult the audience. We all know that, TV is what it is. Let's have some fun with it.
Let me just give you a little more on that. The Tommy Westphal universe hypothesis is what this is called. The Tommy Westphal, Westphall, universe hypothesis makes the claim that not only does St. Elsewhere take place within Tommy's mind, but so do numerous other television series, which are directly and indirectly connected to St. Elsewhere through fictional crossovers and spin-offs, resulting in a large fictional universe taking place entirely within Tommy's mind. It was originally put forward by comic book and TV writer Dwayne McAuliffe in a 2002 blog post. So we got a St. Elsewhere writer, Tom Fontana, was quoted as saying, "Someone did the math once, and something like 90% of all American television took place in Tommy Westphal's mind. God love him." Thursday nights, ABC, 8 o'clock, Our World. I don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. Ran for an hour. And then you got at 9 o'clock, The Colbys. That was a spinoff of Dynasty, I'm quite sure. And then at 10 o'clock, 2020, News Magazine show with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters.
Still running.
Wow. CBS, 8 o'clock on Thursdays, Simon & Simon, mystery kind of comedy. I didn't really watch it, but Gerald McRaney there. Any thoughts on Simon & Simon?
Too much Simon.
Love Simon & Simon. That was one of those shows, again, that you had a vehicle as the catalyst. They had a Dodge Ram Power Wagon pickup truck as kind of their get-to, along the lines of the Fall Guy truck or the Knight Rider car. So you had you had that. I love that show. I think was Tim Reed on Simon & Simon as well.
He might have had a bit part.
I would watch Simon and Simon if it were rebooted as Stubbins and Marlowe.
You got
Here's
it in.
the
Nice
theme.
job. Nice job. That's one of your better ones. I would watch Simon and Simon if it was about the handheld electronic game Simon, and maybe a second one right next
Yeah.
to it. But
Simon and
no,
Bop It.
And then Knots Landing, another primetime soap. Again, a favorite of the women in my family, my aunts and mom, and they would love that. Donna Mills was gorgeous on that show. And over on NBC, 8 o'clock, Thursday nights is perhaps the most blockbustery run any day part has ever had in prime time. And it all began with this show. Yeah, they had different openings. This is not one of the more memorable ones, but it's The Cosby Show. The Cosby Show at 8 o'clock. Thursday is NBC. This was must-see TV. This is where must-see TV, the phrase was coined. Obviously, we know what Bill Cosby means now in this world, but and I'm sure we all are in agreement on that, but maybe just keep it brief. We can just talk about the Cosby Show in the 80s and what that meant.
Learning what I learned about him was very unfortunate because I watched hundreds of hours of this show. He was like, the TV dad I looked up to growing up, and it's a great misfortune that he turned out to be the monster that he was.
Enjoy the show in a vacuum and appreciate the work you're seeing in front of you, and at least for that 26 minutes, forget what you know.
I did have a little crush on Lisa Bonet there, who went on to marry Lenny Kravitz, and now she's married to, what's his name? Aquaman.
What's his name? Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa. So Lisa Bonet is married two of, most women would say some of the hunkiest guys of the last 35 years. But The Cosby Show was great. It was. Showed you a black family, which, black families on sitcoms there was just a handful that had come before it. Jefferson's, Good Times, maybe like a...
But those were working class black families.
True.
Like, this was a decidedly
upper middle class
black
He was
family.
a doctor.
Yeah.
And maybe she was a lawyer. I'm not sure what Felicia Rashad did.
At the time, she would have been married to Ahmad Rashad, right? The former Bobby Moore, the former football player. So, and you even had, even today, she's still on TV, Raven Simone. She was that add-on kid late in the series run to try to, re-energize interest. So, so many Raven properties that exist now. She got her start on that show.
Malcolm Jamal
Jamal
was
Warner.
good. He was good.
He's gone on to have a successful music career, and he won a Grammy for an album he released last year or the year before.
Okay, and he did a lot of directing too after this. Didn't really star in much after that, but
actually got his start directing because they let him direct a few episodes of The Cosby Show.
Right. So yeah, I mean, no matter what else Bill Cosby was doing to the people around him then, which now seems like some really terrible things, the art that he created, his stand-up career led to this show, and he was the mastermind of this show, and it really did, it did uplift American culture, especially with race relations. A lot of white families are watching The Cosby Show and probably normalizing, black families at that because of this show. So that was good. It was fun. It wasn't hysterical to me. I don't know. It didn't crack me up too much, but there was a real warmth to the show. And it was just a comfort food.
I mentioned Newhart and Cosby are the only two where the lead is big enough to run the name. And Cosby, there are horror stories of him on set about this because he was so domineering of a personality. But so much of the show that he did was ad-libbed. Just him doing his thing. And that's really what drove the show. So having it be The Cosby Show, I mean, it's his show, And that's...
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned, Sam, about the white families or the people that would watch. I mean, this was also a guy whose, more or less white kids were growing up watching picture pages on Captain Kangaroo. You're getting the Jell-O promotions and whatnot. But I watched Cosby when I was a kid.
And then one of my all-time favorite shows would follow right after on NBC Thursdays at 8:30. I mean, Family Ties, to me is probably in my top 10 all-time favorite shows, and only in the last few years have I rewatched the whole thing slowly, very slowly, on DVD. I think it's probably on Paramount Plus. I think it's a CBS-owned property, even though it's on NBC. But the writing is superb. There's a lot of heartstring pulling. Michael J. Fox is brilliant. I love Stephen Keaton, the dad, Michael Gross, Justine Bateman as the sister, Tina Yothers, and Meredith Baxter Burney, and Skippy next door. But I love me some Family Ties. Michael J. Fox has so many funny lines as the conservative kid with liberal parents, and just so many great plot lines and great moments. I don't know. I'm sure I love Family Ties more than anyone else here, but what are you guys' thoughts on that show?
I think you covered it. I can't disagree with that at all. Yeah, that's a great encapsulation of that. I'm glad to hear the show holds up because I haven't seen it in decades. But seeing young Michael J. Fox there almost makes me want to cry because he is such a towering presence, you know. So I think you covered that one well.
I never really watched the show. I'm familiar with it. I certainly am more familiar with Michael J. Fox and the work that he did, crossing over between Family Ties and Back to the Future, like the crazy filming schedule he had to keep to do that. I probably should have taken advantage of an opportunity a couple of years ago. Michael Gross and Meredith Baxter actually performed at a local playhouse near me, and that was, pretty much their billing. Come see, the parents from Family Ties perform in this play. But pretty much everybody went on to do a little bit of something. And the crazy thing is now in 2021, the Bateman we all talk about is Jason Bateman versus Justine, but that put the family name in everybody's mind.
If Family Ties is in my top 10, this show is also in my top 10, and I'm going to say this definitely beats Perfect Strangers for one of the all-time great theme songs. I mean, how do you put Perfect Strangers theme song over this? When this builds up with the chorus, I mean, it's just hard to beat. But fantastic show. Cheers. Started in '82. I remember watching the pilot in my loft upstairs in upstate New York, and I was like, this show is great. And I remember telling my mom about it the next week or maybe 2 weeks after. I was like, you got to watch this show, Cheers, it's great. And I knew what I was talking about because it was created by the Charles triumvirate there that did Taxi and had the pedigree. I think they did the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and these guys knew what the hell they were doing when it came to sitcoms with great writing and characters. 11 seasons, so in '86 they're in their 4th season or 5th season, 275 episodes, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time, ensemble cast, so many great lines. So I love Cheers. What about you guys?
So in my defense, I didn't catch that Cheers was on the rundown when I said that the Perfect Strangers had the best theme song. Clearly Cheers is a superior theme song. That's probably a top 5 all-time opening theme song.
One of the things I hope we all notice here as the common thread is that some of these great TV shows had awesome theme songs. I mean, TV shows today just don't have these kinds of themes. I mean, coming out of the 70s and even into the 80s, you would have TV themes that would get radio play, from Greatest American Hero to The Fall Guy to The Dukes of Hazzard. And theme songs, to me, always set the tone for the show itself. Now you get the cold open and a 4 or 5 minute little opening segment, then you go to commercial and you pretty much come back. There's not that standard opening. Some shows do still have it. Cheers, I again was never a huge NBC watcher, but Sam, you referenced the Taxi pedigree, Rhea Perlman on the show, Kirstie Alley, of course, Ted Danson, and then anybody now that is into the Disney Pixar films, John Ratzenberger from that show still has a bit role in damn near every new movie that comes out. He has a line. He does something. He will be forever part of that family now.
I think that has something to do with the skip intro button.
Yeah, but the theme songs were fading out way before streaming, really. But of course, that has expedited it. Yeah.
That's kind of what makes the Game of Thrones theme song so notable, is that it was like, But as Mike was saying, that really sets the theme for the show. I would never skip that. If
you can do a good theme song, the opening credit sequence, I think it'll increase.
I think that's
your fandom. I think people will respect that.
That's what it is. It's not the song anymore. It's the visuals and the presentation of that credit sequence.
Right. Or keep it snappy. I remember Mad Men had a catchy little opening there, and it was like an animated opening. But yeah, so Thursday nights, must-see TV. How about Cosby, Family Ties, Cheers, and then Night Court? And we are recording this just several days after Marky Post died at age 70. She was not on in the first season, maybe not in the second season, but she played instrumental in that show as one of the public defenders, or one of the lawyers. Harry Anderson is your judge. Richard Mull is Bull. Mac, Marsha Warfield. I know you love some Night Court, right, Mike?
Love Night Court. I have the first couple of seasons on DVD, actually. John Larroquette also on the show. And I forget the gentleman's name, but in the original Addams Family show, I believe the guy that played the father figure in the Addams Family TV show was Harry Anderson's father or father figure on the show, and Harry Anderson passed away a couple of years ago. But yeah, Marky Post, 70 years old. I guess she had a couple of years battle with cancer, and that ultimately took her life. But she was the comedic foil to John Larroquette. Dan Fielding was the sexually aggressive lawyer that pretty much wanted to jump on and pop into any female that moved by, and she always kind of kept him in his place. And Richard Mull's Bull, the bailiff character, was great. This intimidating presence. He was kind of a dullard, but at the same time could flip that switch, and all of a sudden you knew he meant business. And Roz was the tough as nails bailiff. And the guy Mac, something Robinson. Or was he Mac Robinson? Was it
Charles Robinson sounds familiar to me. Thinking of the credits.
So Mac was his character
of course I
name.
could click on this.
But he was the guy that always read out the docket, and yeah, he was Charles Robinson. Yeah, that's right. Love that show.
Yep.
Loved it.
So rest in peace, Marky Post. Very attractive, great comedic timing. Gone too soon. Anything from you, Jeff, on Night Court? Okay. And then Hill Street Blues came on at 10 o'clock. What a killer lineup. My goodness. Cosby was number 1. Family Ties was number 2. Cheers was number 3. Night Court was 7. Hill Street Blues had just a year or two left at this point, but what a killer lineup there on Thursday nights. Let's take a quick break. And Jeff, I'm curious to hear your phone party chat line for MacGyver commercials. So are you ready to pull that one off?
Fired up. Hey guys, are you lonely? Are you looking to make a new friend? Or maybe just someone to talk MacGyver with? Then why don't you give me a call tonight? Hi, I'm Jeffrey Hess, 1/3 of the Making Fun of MacGyver podcast, and you can call me right now on our new party chat line at 1-900-TALK-MAC. We can chat about your favorite MacGyverisms, all those ingenious contraptions he creates to escape danger, or even how many times he could have used a gun but didn't. So come on, give me a call right now on 1-900-TALK-MAC. That's 1-900-TALK-MAC. I think we could be real good friends.
All right, nice job on that commercial, Jeff. I would give you a call if I weren't talking to you now. I don't need to call you, but 1-900.
Yeah.
1-900.
I can tell you why the MacGyverism doesn't work.
Okay, what day are we up to? We are up to Friday nights, a notoriously rough night for television. ABC on Friday nights, 8 o'clock, Webster. Emmanuel Lewis, diminutive African-American boy/teen. I don't think he was ever a man at that point, but like Gary Coleman, he was a little person and born. He was as he's pretending to be an 8-year-old on Webster. He's probably 14, something like that. I could be off on that, but he befriended Michael Jackson or vice versa. Again, we'll move past that. Just for yeah, I know. Let's just assume everything went okay there for Emmanuel Lewis's game.
I did watch an episode of that. I did watch an episode of Webster. Does not hold up. Just very not funny at all.
No, for kids. More of a show for kids. Alex Karras, former NFL player there, is the dad. 8:30, Mr. Belvedere on Fridays. And Mike, I know you got something to say on Mr. Belvedere.
Love Mr. Belvedere. Love Mr. Belvedere. Bob Uecker. I've always been a fan of his brand of comedy, and he was just such a funny person that he parlayed his self-deprecating humor into this TV show that lasted for a handful of years, and I always felt like it was. I loved Mr. Belvedere, but it also struck me as almost like a poor man's Growing Pains. Similar concept, except now you have the added butler in the house, the British guy, the title character of Lynn Belvedere.
I guess a little bit like Who's the Boss, but luckily there was no romantic overtones from Mr. Belvedere to anyone in the house.
Or shirtless butlers in this case.
All right. Something called Sidekicks was on at 9 o'clock, a martial arts show spin-off of the Disney 86 special, The Last Electric Night, starring Ernie Reyes Jr. as Ernie Lee. Gil Gerard as Sergeant Jake. Gil Gerard was Buck Rogers in the 70s. And then Sledgehammer. All right, so it seems like Sledgehammer might have been trying to do what Police Squad did so masterfully for 6 episodes with Leslie Nielsen. That is one of the all-time great TV shows, in my opinion. Police Squad lasted 6 episodes.
Now, when Mike sent the rundown of the shows, I had never heard of this. I had no idea what to expect, and I thought it was going to be a straight-up cop drama. It's like a spoof cop comedy in the vein of like Reno 911 and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's hilarious. Yeah. I was busting out laughing watching this. And
Where did you find an episode of it?
On YouTube, like a normal person. I definitely got a kick out of the cops being afraid of their budget getting cut. That's definitely a very 1980s thing you don't hear about.
CBS, 8 o'clock, fall of 86. Scarecrow and Mrs. King, a adventure drama there. It was on for 4 years. Didn't do much for me. But then Dallas, a ratings juggernaut, which ran for 13 seasons. Another soap opera, another primetime soap opera with the Ewing family. They're the affluent and feuding Texas family, the Ewings. They owned the independent oil company. And Patrick Duffy, Larry Hagman. It didn't do much for me, but Who Shot JR was a national event in, I don't know what year that was, but it wasn't 86. I think it already happened by that. Or maybe not. Who Shot JR? But like that was like the cover of Time magazine.
Going back I just want to talk about Sledgehammer just real quick. I want to tell you my favorite joke in the Sledgehammer thing. So he interrupts. So he's got a TV crew following him around, and his boss is like, "Sledgehammer, you got to be on your best behavior." And so they bust into like a domestic quarrel between a couple that's been married for an hour, and he is throwing the husband's throwing plates at the wife. So Sledgehammer makes fun of the man's sexual prowess, and then goes over to the woman and says, "If anything else happens, I want you to use this." And it's like he's going to hand her like his business card or call me. He gives her a grenade.
Okay.
And then just walks out. Like it's funny. Sorry. You had to be there, I guess.
Falcon Crest followed Dynasty, another primetime soap. Went for 9 seasons. Oh my goodness. You got Falcon Crest, Dallas, Dynasty, Knots Landing, so many of these. That's your Friday night lineup. Over on NBC, the A-Team ran from 83 to 87. Former members of a fictitious U.S. Army Special Forces unit. Of course, you got Mr. T and all the other gangs, but that was on Friday nights, 8 o'clock. Any A-Team watchers? I was not.
My brother-in-law is nicknamed B.A., though, in honor of B.A. Baracus.
Now, with the A-Team...
Does it be Arthur?
Ooh. Strong possibility that B. Arthur did appear in this show.
Also as an IRA terrorist.
I feel like this is set up. Was she in it?
I was going to go with stunt double for Mr. T.
You know it?
No, I don't think so. 9 o'clock, Miami Vice. I remember last year when we talked about Miami Vice because the theme song was the #1 song in the country at one point, the instrumental. Jeff was incredulous. He could not believe that the instrumental theme song to Miami Vice was the #1 song. But 1986, Miami Vice, that's still pretty hot. That's still pretty hot right there with Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas as Miami cops with the pastels. And then 10 o'clock, L.A. Law. A good drama there, legal drama, ran for 8 seasons on NBC. So that's not a bad lineup on Friday.
And another solid theme song.
Yep. Can you hum that? What's it? Did it go do 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 Was that it?
No, now I'm humming the Dallas theme in my head, which doesn't help us at all.
No,
I got nothing. What's next? We have to write our own theme songs to random 80s TV shows?
They're not random. It's the lineup of 1986, so it's specific.
Now things get weird on Saturday, okay? If Friday's a rough night for TV, Saturday's even worse because generally no one's staying home to watch TV, especially with just your 3 choices at every hour. But at 8 o'clock, you have on the Mount Rushmore Hall of Fame, Lucille Ball. She's giving it one last go for another sitcom, and I do not recall this at all. But someone thought, you know what? Let's get her in there. Life with Lucy aired for 1 season on ABC from September 20 to November 15. It is the only Lucille Ball sitcom to not air on CBS. And about only 8 of the 13 episodes produced were aired before ABC canceled the series. So Lucille Ball, golden touch with I Love Lucy, and had some other hits too in the following decades, but not with Life with Lucy.
She died 3 years later. She was a heavy smoker. So, I mean, I've seen some late interviews with her. The voice, she kind of sounded like that jabron that calls us from Pittsburgh at that point. It was rough. So
I Love Lucy in my top 10 all-time favorite shows. I've probably seen every episode of that multiple times. And Sirius Satellite is airing a channel that is like, she did a radio show where she was interviewing other famous comics at the time. And every time that commercial comes on, it makes me want to go listen to that because the lineup of people she interviews is incredible. And I would love to hear her talking to those folks. She's truly a magic comedian for her time. And as a female in that space, just one of a kind. This show, probably not good, though.
No, I don't think so. Followed up at 8:30 by The Ellen Burstyn Show. Lasted 13 episodes. Ellen Burstyn, famously known as, to me, the mom of Linda Blair, Reagan, in The Exorcist. So Ellen Burstyn was the mom of the possessed daughter in The Exorcist, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. Yeah. But that show was not possessed with good ratings. 9 o'clock, something called Heart of the City, ran for a year or so, just rough. And then 10 o'clock, Spencer for Hire. Now that one I remember with Robert Urich, 3 seasons. But CBS, 8 o'clock, something called Downtown, crime drama, lasted just a little bit. The new Mike Hammer, and then The Twilight Zone. And this, of course, must have been a second version. Twilight Zone's been rebooted so many times, but I'm not sure which one this was in 86. But The Twilight Zone, the original, one of the all-time great TV shows. And NBC, on Saturday nights, 8 o'clock, you had this. Is this another show that we all watch because the girls were kind of attractive? What do we think?
The girls are very attractive.
Yeah, Lisa Whelchel, Kim Fields became quite attractive. Mindy Cohn, okay, not so much.
I liked Joe.
You like Joe? You had your thing for Joe? Nancy
Joe.
McKeon?
Yeah.
Okay, of course, Charlotte Rae was the main mom. Or what was? Let's see. What was she about? What was this show about?
Keeper
Edna
of the
Garrett,
house, head mistress. I don't know.
Of a girls' school, and she taught them lessons. And
Look at the mullet on Joe.
Yeah, well, Joe was cute.
A very MacGyver-esque mullet.
So I did rewatch an episode of Facts of Life. Doesn't hold up, but the costumes are top shelf 80s costumes.
Yes.
But again, it falls in this 80s family-friendly, wholesome comedy where it just drains any life of the comedy. You know, a comedy's got to have edge. It doesn't have to be head of the class or Married with Children, but it's got to have some kind of edge to it. And this is just completely devoid of life.
All right. Speaking of no edge, here's what followed The Facts of Life at 8:30 on Saturdays.
There's no place like home.
227 with Marla Gibbs of the Jeffersons fame. She had her own show, and then at 9 o'clock in the fall of 86. You had a little show called The Golden Girls. Now, let's try this one more time. I've had no luck here all tonight, but The Golden Girls. Jeff, tell me.
Does it be Arthur?
100%. This does be Arthur. You carried that shit for 2 hours all the way for that payoff. Shout out to my high school sweetheart who was the world's biggest Golden Girls fan ever.
I can't think of many other shows. I bet you I Love Lucy is one of them, though. But that the more years go by, the more you realize how good it is. And The Golden Girls is one of those shows that, as I'm a teenager, 14, 15, I am not watching a show called The Golden Girls about old women. But then when you watch it years later, you know, like, I should have been watching that show because that writing is among the best of any sitcom ever. Great performances by everyone on the show, especially Estelle Getty, especially B. Arthur, Betty White, Rue McClanahan. As a extremely well-written show, great sitcom, The Golden Girls. I should have risen above my prejudicial concerns there.
Solid show. Love it. I have access to my buddy's Hulu account, so I can watch Golden Girls now on the Hulu, and I understand it might be coming to Disney Plus as well.
The mouse eats everything.
I mean, it's been running on not Lifetime or Hallmark. It's been running on like Lifetime for years, but like younger people, especially younger women, have all taken to that show, and with good reason. It holds up. Great writing. After The Golden Girls, Amen and Hunter. Now, let's wraps it up with Sunday. ABC, 7 o'clock Sunday, the Disney Sunday movie, and then 9 o'clock, the Sunday night movie. CBS, 7 o'clock. Do I have to tell you what CBS has at 7 o'clock on Sundays? Anyone?
I believe it's 60 Minutes.
Jeff, you should know that NFL watcher as much as anyone. I mean, for years, 60 Minutes promos have been running in NFL games like clockwork.
Yeah, and they get immediately obliterated from my memory. The thing I know about 60 Minutes is that usually it's telling you it's going to air late because the game's running long. That's what I know about 60 Minutes. Which, to me, like, move it. Move it by a half hour. Like, the NFL games have run over for 40 years. You can move the show now.
60 Minutes it takes the old-timers who are watching the new stuff right into another great show for old-timers, and as it turns out, a great show for a 13-year-old me watching it on the couch with his mother.
Classic.
Murder, She Wrote. What can you say about Murder, She Wrote? Lasted 12 seasons, 264 episodes. 12 years on CBS. Angela Lansbury in movies like The Manchurian Candidate and other movies in the 50s and 60s, but then gets cast as, like, yeah, as you said, Jeff, like it's an Agatha Christie movie of the week, basically. And I loved me some Agatha Christie whodunits. I love whodunits. And people were constantly dying around her.
Constantly.
And she pulled it off. Constantly dying, but she pulled it off. You know, like it's not great writing and ensemble cast and everything, but I think without her, that show does not become that show's canceled.
Clearly.
In a few years.
I mean, she just embodies the character archetype. And not only are people dying around here, people are getting horrifically murdered. The episode that I watched in preparation for this, like, this dude gets axe murdered in an elevator. Like, so these aren't just like minor murders and stuff, but yeah, I mean, if we've talked about redoing a show like making fun of MacGyver, and this would be my poll for the show we should do.
I've got the box set, so I'm all ready. Love me some Murder, She Wrote, one of my all-time favorite shows, but it also puts me to sleep like nobody's business. If I need to fall asleep, put on Murder, She Wrote, I am gone within the first 25 minutes.
Here's a little fun detail for you. When she was in Manchurian Candidate and she plays the mother of the guy who gets brainwashed, she is younger than the actor.
That's right.
Who plays her son.
And Angela Lansbury is still alive. She's in her early to mid-90s. She's still kicking. When we lose her, that's, we're going to do a special
she was
segment.
old in the 80s, which is crazy.
Right. But it's totally like my grandmother on my paternal side. She's just like your grandmother out there solving crimes, shocked and appalled that once again murder has befallen Cabot Cove or New York, wherever she went abroad. And just a formula that worked with great writing and a great whodunit. Then it was followed by the Sunday night movie over on NBC. It was Our House with Wilfred Brimley, the diabetes guy.
Diabetes guy, the oats guy.
The Oats guy. Well, you're the new Oats guy. Something called Easy Street, and then Valerie, which had Jason Bateman, pre-Ozark, and then NBC Sunday Night at the Movies. Now, so this is Sunday. Murder, She Wrote. Why do you think they moved MacGyver from Sundays to Mondays? I'm not sure why they did. Let's think about that for a second. But I want to play for you this promo that the ABC started to run, I think in the summer of '86, to let you know that MacGyver was moving from Sundays to Mondays. We have that right here. So let's play that.
Name's MacGyver.
New this fall. It used to be on Sundays. But now, MacGyver's on Mondays. Thrill as he takes off his pants to escape danger.
Why are you taking your pants off?
You got a better idea?
Amaze as he bakes brownies for the hardened gang members.
Keep baking those brownies, MacGyver. See how far it gets you.
And watch in awe as he runs his pizza through the garden.
Yeah, I want a 12-inch pizza. Run it through the garden, hold the chovies.
Jessica Fletcher kicked his ass on Sundays. So we've sent MacGyver to Mondays. This fall, only on ABC.
The monster truck theme. I didn't know they repurposed the monster truck formula for MacGyver, but good job, ABC.
Angela Lansbury, by the way, 95 years old.
All right, quickly, guys. That's your week. But if you don't have it in front of you, the 20th, this is the ratings now. I'm sorry, the best ratings, the highly rated TV shows of 1986 and number 20, the Sunday Night Movie on NBC. 19, Kate and Allie on CBS. 18, Monday Night Football.
Whoa.
17, yeah, what? Oh, you're expecting higher?
Yeah, well, I'm so used to football being like the number one TV
Right.
show. It could air
Right.
at
No,
2
it
a.m.
was-
on a Wednesday and it'd be the number one show.
It was a slow, steady climb. So Monday Night Football there. Monday Night Movie on NBC was next. Sunday Night Movie on CBS. Right before that, Matlock. Looks like it was like 16th. I don't have the numbers. 227, 15. Amen, 14. Wow, Amen. I'm sorry, there it is. Amen was the 13th best show. Newhart was the 12th ranked show of 1986, and Dallas was the 11th ranked show of 1986 with a 21.3 rate. Here you go. Here's your top 10 for 1986. 10th place, Who's the Boss, with a 22.0 rating. 9th place, Moonlighting on ABC with a 22.4. Growing Pains was the 8th ranked show, 22.7. Night Court was 7th, 23.2. 60 Minutes, 6th place, 23.3. Golden Girls, the 5th best ranked show of 86. On Friday nights, nonetheless. Talking about old women, 24.5 rating. Number 4, Murder, She Wrote. And then you know the top 3. Number 3, Cheers, 27.2. Number 2, Family Ties with a 32.7 rating. First show I've mentioned here to go up into 30s at 32.7. Cosby, number 1, 34.9.
Now, refresh my memory. That means 3 out of every 10 televisions turn to that? Is that how that equates? How does that work?
You know, I was going to research that. I was hoping I didn't need to get into that because rating and share. I remember the difference between rating and share are talking about what you're, I think share might have to do with how many millions of people are watching.
Regardless, that number is something you will never see again. Television is so dispersed now. That is like, it's hard to.
Well, what about with the Super Bowl? Let's, Mike, look up what the rating was, the TV rating was for like a recent Super Bowl. But go ahead, Jeff.
I'm going to go back to 2019 and not a COVID year one.
What was the most recent Super Bowl?
So the Super Bowl of 2019, which would have been the Chiefs versus the Niners, pulled a 41. So you're talking about the Cosby Show every single week getting Super Bowl size audiences. That's unbelievable.
Yep. About a little something called MacGyver. Are we wondering where MacGyver was in the ratings? Let me
I'm
tell
gonna
you.
go somewhere in the mid 30s.
What do you guess, Mike? Second season of MacGyver. Give me its place and give me its rating.
Oh, its place is probably within the 40 to 50 range, and rating is probably in the upper teens, lower 20s.
Jeff?
So its rating would have been a 12, and that would have made it the 32nd show.
Okay, you guys are both in the ballpark. MacGyver was the 41st ranked show. It was ABC's 11th best rated show, and it had a 14.6 rating. It was just below the Tortellis.
Now, is that its peak, or is that just for
No,
86?
I don't think that was its peak. No, just for 86. It was just
'cause
above.
this show would have continued to grow over the next few years.
It was just above Gimme a Break, and just ahead of 2020 as well, and just below the Tortellis, a short-lived spin-off from Cheers, and the Tuesday Night Movie and Hill Street Blues.
Yeah. I agree with what Bruce McGill was saying. If you're on that show, you're probably thinking the show isn't lasting. That's not in the territory you want to be for a show that ends up with 7-year run.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a long show. But let's end it with Mike's party chat line commercial. Seems like no better time for that. So, Mike, you ready to do that?
Sure, why not? I can't wait.
Okay.
Hey guys, are you lonely? Are you looking for a new friend? Or maybe someone just to talk MacGyver with? Why don't you give me a call? Hi, I'm Mike.
Mike Garland.
1/3 of the Making Fun of MacGyver podcast, and you can call me right now on our all-new party chat line, 1-900-TALK-MFM. We can chat about your favorite MacGyver shirtless scenes, all those fly-by-night women he should have never wasted his time on, or even how long do you think that mullet is? Ooh, I bet it's at least 7 inches. So come on, give me a call now, 1-900-TALK-MFM. That's 1-900-TALK-MFM. I think you should cream me again. Cream me again.
Good job, Mike. That was good. We all, everyone did a good job here tonight.
Sam?
Yeah, that was...
Sam?
Yeah. But
mine seemed a little different than like you guys. Yours like, hey, party, let's talk about MacGyver. Mine's like, hey, guys, come to my house while we play MacGyver.
I didn't hear any difference. Sounded pretty much the same to me.
No, I had your levels up at the same point. The music bed was about the same level.
No, music bed was definitely different. We're not talking about levels. We're talking about something was different about that.
Yeah, we should wait till the podcast comes out and give it a listen back, and then we'll know.
It might have been the processing. Are you wearing the normal headphones, or are you going with the buds tonight? Because sometimes it sounds a little different there.
Just me and my buds.
Yeah, and we're aware.
Don't know that that's the direction I want to go with my party chat line, but yeah. What does MFM stand for?
Oh, making fun of MacGyver.
Are you sure it wasn't men for
What do you think? It could be something
MacGyver?
like male
Definitely.
for male or something like that?
Nope, that's I did not Google it, but based on not Googling it, I'm pretty sure that's all it stands for.
Anyways, any final comments, guys?
I loved this trip down memory lane. It was fun to talk about these shows again. I actually own many of them on DVD. So now I may want to cozy up with a good book and turn on my favorite episodes of Who's the Boss, Growing Pains, and Alf.
Well, it's been a marathon session. Thank you, guys, and thank you for listening. And a big time fist bump to our Patreon patrons. That's Mia Morris, who wants to remind us all about the importance of being an organ donor, like Jeff was for his dad last year. Sign up online through your state registry or in person at your local motor vehicle department. And Bo Rigby, another patron, he reminded us that making people smile has a real-world impact. Does it, Bo Rigby? Yes, it does. Thanks again, Mia and Bo. And we love hearing from you guys, so we totally encourage you to follow us and say hi on Facebook or Twitter. Send us an email, or maybe throw something in the tip jar if you like, and get the perks that come with it like Mia and Bo do, and that's at patreon.com/makingfunofmacgyver. But above all else, please keep coming back, because we're going to keep making fun of the 80s and keep making fun of MacGyver and old TV shows, songs, movies. We do it all. So for Mike and Jeff, I'm Sam. Thank you again. We'll see you next time. Peace.
How long do you think that mullet is? Ooh, I bet it's at least 7 inches.